Hey friends, it's Becky L. McCoy, and this is Sucker Punched. Hey friends, I don't know about you, but I cannot believe that it is the end of summer already. My oldest started kindergarten yesterday and we got a puppy last week. So life has been all sorts of wonderful and out of control in the McCoy household. I am really looking forward to the adventures of having a school-aged kid though. He's just so excited to start school, and it's been reminding me of just the magic of starting school. I was a kid who just loved school all the time, and sometimes I get a little nostalgic for school, but then I remember that grad school was like more work than a job. So anyways, so I just wanted to remind you before I chat with Vidhi about postpartum anxiety and depression. The Brave Together virtual retreat is coming up in just over a week, and I would love to have you there. It is so important to me that through this podcast and projects that I do, and all of that is online, and it's just kind of me giving something to you. And while I love doing that and kind of helping create things that people really want and need, it's also so important to me to build relationships with people. And I love doing that at the live podcast events, but it's also kind of disappointing that limits the number of people that I can get to know. So we've created this virtual retreat so that we can kind of come together from really all around the world and make new friends in a new and different way. So I really hope that you can make it. You can register at beckylmccoy.com/Brave Together virtual retreat. I really hope to see you there. It's going to be a really, really special time together. So here is my conversation with Vidhi about dealing with postpartum anxiety. I am here today with Vidhi, and we are going to talk about this episode is part of the mental illness series, and we're going to talk about postpartum depression. So thank you so much for being here. Why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with postpartum depression, what the symptoms looked like, how you got diagnosed, all that kind of stuff.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am glad I've been featured in this episode because you know what? I love talking about what I went through, and I love it because I want to help other moms who are going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you about my entire story and how I went into this depression, anxiety, and how I came out of it. So, when my baby was born, as other mothers, I was on the top of the world. I was very happy and everything. And then, couple of months later, we found out that my son actually had allergies, severe allergies, to a point where we had to rush him to a hospital if he got the allergy reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And along with that, he had very sensitive skin. So that is something that, it took me time to deal with it because I did not understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not even know anyone who had such allergies. Me, myself, never had it. My husband never had it. So the question of why does my son have it kept bothering me. And, I kept researching about it. It drove me to a point that, it pushed me into anxiety. And I didn't even realize it was anxiety. But what used to happen was every time I used to drive to work, leave him back home and drive to work, every second of that drive, I used to be just crying, and crying.
Mm-hmm.
And while at work, if I got a call from his caretaker or from home or whoever was taking care of him, I used to just jitter. I used to dread the call because I used to be scared that, do I have to rush to the hospital? Is my son fine? What's going to happen? These thoughts used to just just be on my mind always 24/7. I mean, when I was busy, I was busy. But even if I have had a second to spare, I didn't have any empty mind space because all I was doing in that free second was thinking, thinking,
Mm-hmm.
thinking. And a lot of people, when they have postpartum depression or anxiety, what happens is the symptoms is that they feel lethargic or they panic or they stress.
Mm-hmm.
For me, lethargy or fatigue was not even in my dictionary because I could not sleep. I could not rest.
Hmm.
My son used to go to bed at 7:30, and then after that I used to just be like pacing from one place to another thinking, okay, what next? And it went to a point that all I could think about was my son and what is happening. I was very anxious. There were small triggers, the smallest of things triggered that anxiety. And when I was anxious, I was not a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
I was blabbering. I was just crying. It was not normal. And yeah, I mean, it was to a point that, when I had so much energy, the anxiousness led to so much energy that I had to literally pace the stairs up and down, up and down, up and down, just so that I don't think negative thoughts.
Right. So at what point did you realize that this this was something that you weren't just stressed or worried about your baby having these severe allergies and skin issues, but that this was something that you needed to handle within yourself?
So it was actually my husband who realized that because we've known each other for 6 to 7 years now, and he saw the change in me, and he saw that every small thing, every small suggestion by someone, every smallest issue was triggering me, and was bothering me, and he saw me, and he said, "This is not you." This
Mm,
is not the person I know. And he was the person who took an appointment with our family doctor. And both of us went in together and spoke to the family doctor to figure out what was happening.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that happened. And we went to the family doctor. I told him everything. And he told me that, postpartum depression has two sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is depression, one thing is anxiety. And what you are telling is anxiety. So he said, let's try and put you in some therapy, in some groups where you talk to other mothers. And I did that, but things weren't really getting better because I just couldn't rest. And, like every smallest of the thing became an issue. If somebody made a joke about, your son is fine, he does not have any allergies. Oh, what'll happen if I give him so and so food? Will he react? Or, like if I'm leaving him behind with someone and then I tell them, okay, you have to follow so and so and so and so things, they used to be like, relax, there's nothing, it's not a big deal. All of
Mm-hmm.
these things used to just trigger me so badly
For
that,
sure.
that there was a point that I lost my self confidence because literally if I went to order food for myself, it took me forever because I could not process it in my mind that I'm ordering food. If I was home and I wanted to open the fridge and take out water, I could not do that
Mm-hmm.
because I forgot about it.
Right. Yeah, you like lose the capability of doing those things
Yeah,
that
like
were
my
so
mind
easy.
was right. My mind was
Mm-hmm.
just occupied with so many things. And I mean, I was not physically tired, but I was mentally tired.
Right. Oh,
So
for
I went
sure.
to the doctor and I said, you know what? I cannot. I am tired. Help me. I need to get rid of this. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like it.
So what ended
And
up
then,
helping?
so I was on a medication. They
Okay.
gave me a medication. And the second thing that actually helped me was that I found a motive. I found a reason to channelize my energy. So, as I told you, I was researching a lot. And then, I just read a lot of articles that, due to increase in commercialization and increase in chemicals and everything, the allergies are increasing. The skin sensitivities for babies are increasing.
Mm-hmm.
In our generation, when we were babies, these issues were very less.
Right.
But now the textile industry, it just has a lot of commercialization. people use chemicals so that they can make cheap products. And so
Hmm.
I was just reading about this and I'm like, okay, I'm going to find something which is chemical free for my son. I could not. And that's when I decided, you know what? I am, I can do this. I'm going to create something of my own. And that's when, this was the motive that I found. And that motive, the sleepless nights that I was having, and the extra energy that I had in me, instead of thinking of negative thoughts, I just channelized it to find things for, find resources, find people, and, go travel, go visit people, talk to people who can help me create something. And, I found this beautiful concept of natural printing where they use absolutely no chemicals for creating prints on fabric. And they actually use herbs and plants to create these prints, and those herbs and plants they have therapeutic and healing properties for the baby.
Now, okay, so real quick, let's tell
Yeah,
everyone the name of your company and where they can
sure.
find you because your products are so beautiful.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, yeah, so the motive that I'm talking about, that actually drove me to create a business which is called Panchhi. And Panchhi actually means a free bird. And what we sell is we create and sell linens such as crib sheets, swaddle blankets, towels, washcloths, nursing covers, etc. for babies and toddlers. And we use absolutely no chemicals. So the fabric that we use is organic cotton muslin, and the earthy prints that you see on them, they're actually made of herbs. They are made from herbs such as pomegranate, turmeric, madder, indigo, and they're all soaked in aloe vera just to increase the wellness properties for the babies. So, when I found this motive and when I found that I can actually create something for my baby, I created it. I tried it for my own son for 6 months. Then I had a focus group of other mothers helping me. I gave the products to them. They loved it. And now, I've decided I'm going to go out and help other mothers and spread the word, because this is a product that is required in the market, because
Hmm.
unfortunately the skin sensitivities are increasing. Like,
Right.
we need to know that our baby's skin in the first couple of years is very sensitive and is very pure.
Hmm.
So, why not nurture it with pure products like this?
Yeah, for sure. When I went on the Panchhi website, I it made me wish I had a baby, so I could just like buy one
Oh.
of everything because it's so beautiful. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for my baby's now almost 2 years, and we've created, like, towels for toddlers, so that,
yeah,
which are, like, long enough, and like stuff, because I'm creating stuff for him.
right.
And when I see other mothers and they say, "Oh, can you create this for my baby as well?" And so that's how we are spreading and we are expanding.
Yeah, and today, actually, the day that this podcast episode releases is the last day of your Kickstarter campaign.
It is
So, your website and all that information will be in the show notes for people to check it out.
perfect, perfect.
Um,
Yeah,
so do you?
I mean, I would love that.
Yeah, I would love for people to check it out. Um, do you feel like since you've really been able to solve a lot of the issues with your son's allergies and sensitivities, has that helped reduce the triggers for you? Like,
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, allergies is something that I've not cured it. I'm not a doctor.
right.
But skin sensitivity is something that I've been able to eliminate, because now he's sleeping and he's being wrapped with something without chemicals. So
Hmm.
his skin, he's not reacting. His skin is not reacting, which is, it's worked for my son. So that self-confidence that I was losing, I've got like triple, four times, five times of that self-confidence now,
Wow.
because, I could do it for my son. And
Hmm.
now if anyone, absolutely anyone, some stranger or someone close to me, or even my own mother or father, if they come to me and tell or suggest me or say anything, then you know what? I know for sure it's my son, and
Hmm.
absolutely no one knows better for him or can do better for him than me, the mother.
For
So I've
sure.
just gained that confidence back and much more. So, that thing, my business, my channelizing my entire energy towards the motive to find a solution. And of course, my doctor's help, my husband's support, my family's support, surrounding myself with positive people helped me a lot coming out of it.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, today was my last appointment, wherein I've been off my medicine for a month now.
Wow.
And they did blood tests for me. My doctor spoke to me, and I am good.
Wow,
And
that's
I
great.
actually
So it's
thank
not
you.
something that you're still like struggling
No,
with?
hopefully not. Hopefully
Yeah.
not. I've been I've been noticing. My husband has been noticing a big change in me.
Hmm.
I like I like myself again, and
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just a more confident person, and um, yeah, that the negative energy is gone, the all those thoughts are gone. And
Hmm.
now, when I think about allergies and everything, my only response to everyone is, it's not a big deal, I got it. What's a big deal about it?
Right. Hi, it's me again, Becky. I just wanted to bring up that really annoying topic one more time. Would you mind just rating and reviewing this podcast and any other podcasts that you really enjoy listening to? Um, it's not an ego boost. It's not to say this is how many people like me. It's just something to be able to show future guests or people that I'd really like to partner with. This is what people think of this show, and this is who's listening, and this is what they enjoy about the show. So it's really helpful. It's also really helpful to get feedback about what's working and what's not working about the show, because even though you might hear my voice every week, I really appreciate your opinion and your feedback and your experience, because I really want this to continue to be a show that impacts people and that shares stories that are relevant to all of us, even if we've never been through the same circumstances. If you're an Apple Podcast user, you are probably really frustrated with trying to figure out how to rate and review. That's fine. It's totally not intuitive. Go back a couple episodes. In the middle of an episode, I went through step by step how to rate and review a podcast, or you can just ask trusty Dr. Google. Yeah, don't be frustrated. But please do rate and review. Not just this podcast, but all the ones that you love. I don't do a great job of following up on my own advice, so I'm going to get that done too. Also, we are almost to the end of this mental illness series, so if you have a sucker punch story you'd like to share, just submit it at beckylmccoy.com/submissions. All the information you need is there. And if you have ideas for future series or episodes you'd like to hear, please send me an email, podcast@beckylmccoy.com. I think I've kind of looked for certain stories and people based on the emails that I've gotten from listeners. So I would really love to hear from you and hear what you think. And then I will go out and find those stories. All right, here is the rest of our conversation about postpartum anxiety. I think it's really interesting how you said that your son is almost 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you went off of medications a month ago. So I think it's so important to note that this wasn't something like, oh, you figured out his skin sensitivity and you found a way to print with no chemicals and then your postpartum got better. Like, it was
No,
a long journey.
it was a long journey. I actually tried to find, I don't like taking a lot of medicines.
Hmm.
It's just a personal choice. But, and, I tried to fight this entire urge, the entire anxiety battle. I thought I can do it without medicine. What's the big deal? I'm strong enough. All
Right.
these things I used to keep telling myself. And
Hmm.
then one day the doctor sat me down, and, 6 months after. we knew that I had anxiety, the doctor sat me down and said that, you know what, it's not your fault. It
Mm-hmm.
does not mean you're weak. It does not mean that you cannot do it. It's not in your hands. It's a chemical reaction in your brains.
Mm-hmm.
When women give birth, it's a very normal reaction. More than 50% of women in today's generation have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not your fault. And he gave me a very funny example. He said, what if you fractured your leg? Would you tell me that do not put a plaster on it
Mm-hmm.
because I cannot walk? You wouldn't, because it's not in your control. Similarly, this is not in your control.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that everyone repeatedly told me that having anxiety does not make you weak. It does
Right.
not. Actually, you're a much stronger person that with the anxiety, with the fatigue, you're still raising your kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? Actually it's excellent when I see mothers do that. That they become so selfless that they're going through a battle themselves, but when they see the kid, they forget about the battle.
Right.
So it's just an amazing thing, and I am glad I got over the fact that questioning the fact that how can I have it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the
For sure.
first victory. That's the first bridge you have to cross.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're in terms with the fact that, okay, I have it. It's not a big deal. It's not my fault. Let's let's fight it. Let's beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel that postpartum anxiety and depression have affected your life kind of in general, but then also on a day-to-day basis? How did it affect you?
So, as I mentioned briefly before, was, when I got it, so I've always been a very positive person. I like to, I enjoy smallest things in life. I love to laugh. I love to, enjoy. I just like to cherish every memory. And all of a sudden, I became a person who used to see negative in everything, who
Mm.
used to cry on everything, who used to, I just wanted to be left alone. And although I was surrounded with so many people, so many loved ones, I just felt that nobody wants to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that negative energy, that negative thoughts, it's not a good place to be. It's a very difficult place to be. And even being in that difficult place, you're smiling in front of your baby, that's even more tougher. So
Mm-hmm.
just this negative feeling that I used to have every day when I used to wake up, and I didn't know the triggers behind it initially. That was the biggest change that happened in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And just because of the negative feeling, you can't do day-to-day things. Like for example, I used to go for a bath, and my husband used to check on me, and I didn't have my bath. I was just sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sitting and reading about something, or sometimes my husband used to call me and say, "Hey, did you have food?" I used to be like, "Oh, no, forget it. I don't know what I want to have."
Yeah. Do you
Or
feel do you feel like you missed out on opportunities or like part of your son's infancy because you were
so
struggling with this?
so knock on wood, the kind of anxiety and the triggers that I have, uh, what happened was that whenever I was around my son, or whenever whenever he was there, I used to not feeling anxious or panicked or
Hmm.
stressed.
Interesting.
It was as if I'm a different person. I'm the old person. I used to be happy with him. I used to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy with him. I took care of him, everything. But as soon as he was not with me, he was sleeping or he was with someone else, that's when the free time that I got is when all these things, started creeping in my mind.
Right.
So I knock on wood and I thank everyone, all the superpowers, gods, everyone out there, that thank you that it did not affect my time with my son.
Hmm.
And but of course it did affect other things, and luckily I made it an opportunity. Like it was something, it could highly be possible that that I would just be home, leave my job, and just wait for it to be over, which is absolutely okay. But instead, I used my energy to create a business for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
So, if I have to look back at it and and regret something, I wouldn't. I'm actually happy with all the decisions I took, including taking the medicine so that I can get over the anxiety, so that I can start enjoying every small achievement of my son, of my business, of myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What were the things, and you've talked about this a little bit, but what were some of the things that you were worried about in your daily life because of these postpartum things that you feel like other people didn't have to consider?
So a smallest thing. So, my me and my husband, during my pregnancy, when my son was younger, like a baby, when I did not have postpartum, we loved to travel. We loved to go out, eat, and when we used to see, when people are traveling with their babies, they are just so they're not very stressed.
Mm-hmm.
They can let their babies be in a restaurant. The babies can touch different things. The kids can eat everything. They don't need to be wiping their hands so that just be scared of allergic reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the things. When I used to see that happen, I used to just be like, will my son ever be able to do all of this?
Mm.
And I those were the things that I always thought that you know I what will happen? Will in the future will my son go through all of this? And like time healed it. Like luckily right now my son goes to a daycare. He is naughty as hell. He plays in dirt. He plays in dirt. He
Uh-huh.
probably eats sand, and he is good. And there are things I've got a control over it, and I know what triggers his allergies, and I know what to do about it. And he can be as free and as playful as other kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, things, you know what? Things get better. You get a control over it.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
great. Um, what did you need most when you were feeling so incredibly anxious? What did you need most, and what encouraged you to keep going through those really hard days and months?
So, as a child, since like I was what, a teenager, 13 or something, my grandmother told me that, you should write every night if something good or something bad happens. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like it or if you really feel good about it, write it in a book. So since then, I've been, I always write a journal before sleeping, and especially if something big or something very, something low or something high happens. So when these things started happening, my father actually told me, why don't you start writing again? So whatever negative thoughts I used to feel, I used to start writing it. And
Mm.
every night before bed, when I used to write them, I started writing solutions for them also. In the sense, I should be like, oh, today so and so happened, and I feel horrible. I cried, blah blah blah, and then automatically a part of your brain starts telling you that why did you do that? You should just relax. It's okay. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. So
Yeah.
automatically you start talking to yourself when you're writing. So
Yeah.
that writing and surrounding myself with positive people
Mm-hmm.
actually really helped. So
Yeah.
that is one suggestion. Right now when I talk to mothers who are going through the same thing, or my doctor introduces me to few people who he feels that if I talk to, it will help them,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing I tell them. Just start writing.
Yeah.
Somehow your brain has this beautiful power to guide you in any possible situation. So if you're writing and you're reading what you're writing, you automatically get it. Oh no, I should not do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
What
those
else?
are
What
things.
other things, when you're talking to moms who are dealing with postpartum depression or anxiety, what other things do you say? Uh, what do you want them to know?
I actually I have mentioned this again like before, but the couple of things that I want to tell them is firstly, they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very normal thing. It's not a disease. It's not a illness. It is very normal. It's some chemical reactions going on in your brain. It's not in your control. So, although at this point of time you must be feeling very alone and as if life has changed for you forever, but it's not. You're not alone. there are other mothers out there going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other mothers who fought it, who fought the battle and come out of it. And so can you. And it's funny. I tell all the mothers in a very funny way that you've given life to a baby. You've taken care of the baby. You still take care of every small need of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do such a big thing, you can do absolutely anything. So
Yes, for
so
sure.
coming out of anxiety is like a very small thing compared to giving life to someone. So don't
Yeah.
worry about it. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
know what? Telling mothers that it's not their fault and you cannot do anything about it. Just accept it and let's fight together.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
I really hope, well, I don't hope. I know that women hearing your story will just be encouraged that, like you said, it's not their fault. Like it's a thing that happens to many women after
Mhm.
giving birth, and it's not permanent. Um,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Before we say goodbye, I have a couple of fun questions to ask you just so everybody can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure, sure.
So, the first question is, what are you loving right now?
I am totally loving my business.
Yeah,
That is
that's
now my
awesome.
second baby. If you wake me up at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning and say that, oh, I want to interview about your business, I will be as fresh. So that is my second baby, literally.
That's awesome. What
Yeah.
is your favorite meal, snack, or food?
Interesting. I love fruits. I know
Mm,
it sounds boring. I love
that's all right.
fruits.
What are your favorites?
Oh, my favorite fruit is kiwi
Oh, yes, I totally agree. It's so
and
good.
watermelon.
Yum.
Yeah.
What are you doing to take care of yourself?
I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to enjoy each and every moment because I feel, if I'm mentally happy, then people around me will be happy, especially my son.
Hmm. And what are you doing to be brave?
I am not putting effort. I'm just being myself and
Hmm.
I'm just not bothering about what other people have to think or say about it. I'm just being myself and not putting an effort to be brave. So that just automatically leads me to be brave.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I love that
Yeah.
answer. That's
Thank you.
awesome. You go, girl. Well, thank you again, Vidhi. I'm really, really grateful to share your story and your business. And thank you for being so honest and vulnerable with us.
No, I'm glad I could share it with you, and I hope and I wish I can help other mothers who are going through a rough patch right now.
Thank you so much for listening. I just love that we are creating a community of women who are determined to not let disappointment and discouragement stop them from living bravely and fully. It makes me so excited to hear your stories when you email or connect on social media. So I would love to connect with you on social media. I would love to get to know you better personally. I know it might seem weird to kind of make a friend just on the internet, but I have made so many great friends that way. So find me on social media at Becky L. McCoy, or my website, beckylmccoy.com. Send me an email, whatever. But I would really like to connect with you, get to hear your story a little bit, and come join us in the Brave Together Facebook group. Anyone is welcome to join. It's just a place to kind of continue the conversations we start on here, the podcast, or any of the other projects I'm doing, events I'm hosting. Just a group of people who have that common bond of not wanting to let hard things get in the way of life. Even when they're really disappointing and discouraging and grief and loss is hard, but that we can work through it together and just continue to build relationships and friendships with other people who think the same way. I hope you have a wonderful week, and if you have any ideas as to how I should sign off on the podcast every week, please let me know, because I still don't know what to say, and I'm about to end this like a voicemail. All right, thanks. Bye.